Hey there, Stephanie the Texas Soul Rebel, and I'm out walking with Sherlock on this beautiful day. I just wanted to share some of my experiences of being a Korean adoptee growing up here in Texas. Back 40 years ago when I was adopted, Plano, that's where I grew up, it wasn't the most diverse area, and there weren't a ton of Asian people, or really anyone else. I guess you could say that I stuck out just a little bit. I remember one of the first stories my mom told of taking me to the store, and she's waiting in the checkout, and this lady comes up to her and looks at her and was like, "Is that your child? She doesn't look like you." And of course my mom, being my mom, said something to the effect of, "Well, duh, lady, of course she doesn't, she's adopted. What's to you?" That'd be my mom for you. When I got into school, and I did start noticing that I was definitely different than some of the other kids. I remember kids coming up to me and saying things like, "Those are your parents, or those they don't look like you. Are they your real parents? What happened to your real parents? And why were you adopted?" Just all sorts of 20 questions. And of course, as a kid, you kind of just have this awkward feeling of not belonging and being left out. I remember even once, an adult, encouraging the other kids to make fun of me and telling me, I should speak in an Asian accent because it was funny. And that even made me feel more isolated and confused. Like, well, I'm American, and I don't have an Asian accent. I have an Iowan accent like my parents. Another thing I remember in school was, since there weren't a lot of Asian kids in my class, and substitute teachers were notorious for doing this, when they'd be calling out the roll, they would come across the one Asian sounding name, get right up to me, and they'd call me that name, and I would look at them with this confused face and be like, "No, I'm Stephanie." And they would look back at me like I was crazy or something. And of course, no, I really am Stephanie. One story I did think was funny growing up was when we were going out to dinner with my parents and my siblings, my sister and I, we would be always standing next to the Asian family who always happened to be behind us. And the host or the hostess would come over and grab my parents and my siblings and say, "You come this way." And then they point to my sister and I and the Asian couple, and they would say, "Your table's over here." And we would look at them and be like, "No, our parents are over there." And the Asian couple would look at the host or hostess and say, "No, those aren't our kids." And we'd all just stand there with this confused look on our face. And then we just shrug our shoulders and go our way. I don't want to make it sound like it was all bad, because there were a lot of really good people. There were a lot of kids and adults that genuinely were interested in me being adopted and hearing about my story. And they did have curious questions, and I would never think anything bad about them. And I have to say, the friends I did make, most of them have been lifelong friends. And I'm still friends with them to this day. And they've always seen me as an individual and not just as Korean adopted Stephanie. My parents, what can I say about them? I can't say enough good things, because, they took a orphan girl from Korea and gave her a home in America. And they love me and my sister, who's also adopted from Korea, as one of their own. They've never made us feel any differently than individuals or just their children. When I was a kid, I thought being stuck between these two worlds was such a bad thing, because I had to choose one or the other. But in reality, I didn't have to choose either one. And as an adult, I see it as an advantage, because I feel like, since I'm part of two different worlds, I'm open-minded to different ideas and different perspectives and different backgrounds. And I think that makes me a very versatile person. I think of all the times growing up when I was made fun of for my Asian features, or not looking like my parents, or the people asking, if my parents love me or if I want to find my real parents. And I think about now, I feel it's made me stronger. I really enjoyed being able to share that and hopefully, inspire people or let people know it's okay to be different, and you don't have to fit into one box or another, because there's a lot of boxes for you to fit into. I have to say that being adopted, it's been a life journey, And I've learned so many great lessons, and I don't regret anything I've gone through, even if it's been sometimes a little challenging and I've questioned who I am or who I was and felt like I had to change myself to fit in or impress people, because I know who I am today and I know what Stephanie's about, and I just live my life as authentic as I can. And it's been a lot of fun along the way. We're back from our walk and I think we're gonna go relax a little bit. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I'm Stephanie, the Texas Soul Rebel. It was a pleasure to be able to share my story with you. Until next time, bye now. Say goodbye, Sherlock.